All right, let's dive into a book that has absolutely taken over the world of personal development, Atomic Habits by James Clear. The big idea is actually super simple, but so powerful. It's that real, lasting change doesn't come from one massive transformation. Nope. It comes from the combined effect of hundreds of tiny choices, what Clear calls atomic habits. Let's get into it. So, what if I told you that the secret to massive success was just getting 1% better every single day? It honestly sounds like nothing, right? I mean, 1%. You wouldn't even notice it. But what does that tiny, almost invisible improvement really add up to over time? Well, the math here is actually kind of mind-blowing. If you get just 1% better each day for a year, you won't be 1% better, or even 365% better. You'll be nearly 37 times better than when you started. That is not a small tweak, my friends. That is a complete and utter transformation. It's the magic of compounding, but for your life. So let's really dig into this idea of tiny gains. We're all obsessed with these huge defining moments, right? We think success is this one big event. But the truth is, that's almost never how it works. Success is actually the product of our daily habits. It's the small, consistent things you do that really matter, not the once-in-a-lifetime transformations. And there's this fantastic story that just nails this point. The British cycling team. For about 100 years, they were pretty mediocre, just totally unremarkable. But then, in 2003, they hired a guy named Dave Brailsford, and he had this one core philosophy: the aggregation of marginal gains. Basically, he wanted to improve everything by just 1%. And I mean, everything. They redesigned the bike seats to be more comfortable, rubbed alcohol on the tires for better grip. They even tested which pillows gave each rider the best night's sleep. The result? It was insane. They went from mediocrity to absolutely dominating the 2008 Olympics and winning 5 Tour de France titles. All from tiny 1% improvements. And this chart, wow, it shows you everything you need to know. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just like money compounding in a bank account, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. Look at those two lines go in completely opposite directions. A tiny 1% choice, good or bad, doesn't feel like a big deal today. But over a year, the gap between those two paths becomes absolutely massive. Okay, but this brings up a huge problem, right? Something we've all felt. We start a new habit, we go to the gym for 2 weeks, we eat healthy, and we don't see results. So we get discouraged and we quit. It's so common. And James Clear has the perfect name for this: the Valley of Disappointment. This graph shows exactly what's going on. We think progress should be linear. We put in the work, we expect to see the results immediately. But that's not how it works. With any compounding process, the most powerful outcomes are delayed. It feels like you're not getting anywhere, but you are. All that work you're putting in, it's not gone. It's just storing up energy. It's what Clear calls the plateau of latent potential. Clear has this amazing analogy with an ice cube. Picture this. You're in a cold room with an ice cube, and it's 25 degrees. You slowly start to raise the temperature. 26, 27, 30, 31 degrees. Nothing happens. The ice cube is still just sitting there, but then you hit 32 degrees. One single degree of change, and suddenly you get this huge breakthrough. It starts to melt. Was all that energy from 25 to 31 degrees wasted? No way. It was building up potential. And that's exactly what your efforts are doing, even when you can't see the results yet. So how do we actually get through that plateau without giving up? Well, this is a game changer. It's about shifting your focus away from goals and onto your systems. Okay, so what's the difference? Goals are your destination, the result you want to get. Systems are the road you take to get there, the process. Think about it. Every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every startup wants to be a unicorn. Winners and losers often have the exact same goal. So the goal isn't what makes the difference. What separates them is their system, their daily training regimen, their product development cycle, their sales process. That's what actually produces the results. And this leads to probably one of the most powerful lines in the entire book. It's so good. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your goals are great for setting a direction, but your systems are what actually make the progress happen. A good system is what keeps you going even on the days you don't feel motivated. All right, so we've covered the why you should focus on small habits and systems. Now let's get into the what. Like, what even is a habit? Turns out our brain runs every single habit, the good ones and the bad ones, on a simple 4-step feedback loop. It's called the habit loop. 4 simple steps. First, there's a cue, which is the trigger that tells your brain to start a behavior. That cue leads to a craving, which is the motivation, the desire for some kind of change. Next comes the response, which is the actual habit you perform. And finally, you get a reward, which satisfies that craving and, most importantly, teaches your brain that this whole loop is worth remembering and doing again in the future. Let's make this super concrete with an example we all know too well: checking your phone. The cue? Your phone buzzes. The craving? Ooh, I wonder who that is. I need to know what that message says. The response? You pick up your phone and read it. The reward? Your curiosity is satisfied. And bam, that loop just got a little bit stronger in your brain, making it even more likely you'll do it next time, probably without even thinking. Okay, so if we want to build good habits and break bad ones, all we have to do is play with these 4 steps. And this brings us to what Clear calls the 4 laws of behavior change. They are so simple and so practical. Let's start with law number 1, which tackles the cue: make it obvious. One of the slickest ways to make a new habit obvious is a technique called habit stacking. Instead of trying to remember to do a new thing out of the blue, you just tack it onto a habit you already do. So for example, instead of saying, I will meditate, you say, after I pour my morning cup of coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. The coffee is your trigger. It's simple and it works like a charm. But it's not just about formulas. Your environment is a huge part of making cues obvious. Check this out. In a hospital cafeteria, they wanted people to drink more water. So they didn't put up posters or give a lecture. They just added water to every single drink fridge in the place. That's it. Water sales shot up by over 25% and soda sales dropped. Nobody told them to drink more water. They just made it the easy, obvious thing to do. And if you want a really powerful, kind of shocking example of how much your environment matters, look at this study from the Vietnam War. A crazy high percentage of US soldiers, something like 20%, became addicted to heroin over there. But here's the wild part. When they came home, 9 out of 10 of them quit, basically overnight. Did they all suddenly develop superhuman willpower? Nope. Their environment, the cue that triggered the habit, was gone. All right, on to law number 2, which targets that craving part of the loop. We have to make it attractive. Because let's be real, if you're trying to do a habit you hate, you're just not going to stick with it. So how can we make the tough habits more appealing? And there's this hilarious and brilliant story of an engineering student who did just that. He knew he needed to exercise more, but, he also really wanted to binge watch Netflix. So what did he do? He hacked his stationary bike and hooked it up to his laptop. The TV would only play Netflix if he was cycling at a certain speed. Genius! He literally bundled something he needed to do with something he wanted to do. And that's a strategy you can use right away. It's called temptation bundling. You pair an action you need to do with an action you want to do. So maybe you tell yourself, I can listen to my favorite podcast, but only while I'm folding laundry. Or I can check Instagram for 10 minutes, but only after I've done 10 minutes of studying. It's all about using what you want to do to get you to do what you need to do. You know what else makes habits attractive? People. We are social creatures, and we have this deep desire to fit in. We naturally imitate the habits of 3 groups: the close, so our friends and family; the many, which is our culture or tribe; and the powerful, people we look up to. So the big takeaway here, if you want to adopt a habit, join a group where that habit is the normal thing to do. Their normal can become your normal. So you can see how this works, right? We've talked about making it obvious and making it attractive. The other laws, just so you know, are about making it easy and making it satisfying. But the core idea, the secret sauce, is always the same. Real, lasting results don't come from some massive, heroic effort. They come from the commitment to never stop making those small, 1% improvements day in and day out. Look, we've gone through a ton of great ideas here, but just knowing this stuff doesn't change anything. You have to do something with it. Action is where the magic happens. So I'll leave you with this one simple question. What is the one tiny 1% change you're going to make today to start building your own remarkable results?